album is out.
Yes.
And how does it feel to finally have it out in stores available?
Oh, it feels great. It's like mixed emotions when a record comes out. You know, you kind of baby this thing for a long time, and I worked on it for a year and a half, and then you just sort of set it out there, and you do your promo, and then you like some weeks go by, and then you'll probably do more promo. I'm just speaking in second person, but yeah, that's kind of how it goes, and it's sort of like a detachment when it goes out there, and then I'll start up my different shows and performances I have planned across the country and things like that, and it's exciting. I'm really thrilled to be here. I love New York City, so it's always a good place to start to kick off a record release, and I'm happy with the product that I ended up coming out with. So
this one is a different sound.
Yes.
Than your first album.
Yes.
Talk about that.
Yeah, it's very different. I think just organically from beginning to end, the actual just the process, the record itself, I think is organic, more organic than my first record, but just the process in itself was more organic because I got a year and a half to work on the record, and whereas the first record, you come off that show and it's just like everything's going so fast and not quite sure what you want to do, and you're not quite sure who all these people are now handling you and saying, this is what you should do. And this record, I really took time and figured out really where I wanted to go and what I wanted to say and what I wanted to sing about. And I wrote about half the record. I went to Nashville and wrote with some incredible writers there, which gave me a little bit of a folky kind of a folky vibe to it, not a country vibe, but yeah, just really songs that tell stories, and I was just enthralled with the process of making this record because it was so different from the first.
What is it like to try songwriting? Like, is it something that you've always kind of been able to do or dabbled in, or did you pick it up for this album?
It's funny. I actually didn't want to write. I grew up in that era of the Celines and the Whitney Houstons and Mariah Carey's. Of course, Mariah Carey is more of a songwriter, but those artists were the big voices, and I idled them, but they weren't into really their songwriting. It's like, you know what, I'm a diva, I can sing, and if people bring a great song to me, then I'm going to sing it. And I always just wanted to be like that, just, bring a song to me and I'll sing it. And I don't know what changed me on this record. I think I just wanted to have a little bit more of a personal look into my life and what I went through coming off of, Idol's a very unique situation, and there's a lot of interesting stories to tell and emotions that you can tell that you've gone through. And so I was a little resistant to doing it, but I started journaling. I was always a journaler, and went back to some old journals of like high school and my, college time or whatever, and which wasn't that long ago, and was able to really pull some interesting material for these songs. And other songs are just things that, I get as an actress, I can just put myself in that scenario and create a story. That's what actors do, put themselves in a different situation. So there's a lot of different things that I learned as a songwriter.
Wow. Now, I think on Idol, we saw you in like the gowns, doing Somewhere Over the Rainbow, which was wonderful. And people know you have this great voice, but was it hard to kind of find your identity and the kind of music you wanted to do after Idol?
Yeah, it was really hard for me to find my identity because the label that I was with at the time didn't see me doing that, and didn't see me wearing the long gowns. They wanted me to wear the short dresses and be that sex kitten or whatever, because the Rihannas and the Cassies were really hot at that time, so they thought, let's put her in that mold. And I have a lot more to say than just singing those pop songs, which I love. I'm a huge top 40 lover of that music, but I realized through that process it didn't really fit me. I've always been, I'm a young girl, but I've always, even when I was in high school, people always thought I was older, been more mature for my age, and I think that's why this record really just suited me better, because I found, I can still wear the long gowns, but I can still be young, but I can talk about really mature things that I've been through, and I think that's a real significant difference between the two. And now with a label that's actually a bit more sophisticated, they have more of a, Verve is more of a diverse record label. They have jazz, they have some R&B pop or pop singers, and I'm sort of like this this adult contemporary artist that they have now. So I found a really great home there.
Good. Now, it's funny because also on Idol, when you were the runner-up, and there was just so much, I think, hype surrounding Katharine McPhee, the McPheever thing.
Yeah.
And I remember hearing, and I don't know if it's true, John Mayer had a crush on you, and like Steven Spielberg called you,
Yeah.
and I remember hearing all this stuff. What was the show, and kind of suddenly you're in show business and learning what that's like?
It was exciting. I mean, yeah, I did meet with Spielberg. John Mayer did flirt with the idea, and I was committed to I was just this girl from the valley, I mean, it was such a bizarre thing to have suddenly, like, John Mayer likes you. I'm like, well, that's weird, because if he'd seen me walking down the street 3 months ago, he probably wouldn't have, So I've always kind of been able to keep that reality in such a non-reality world. Entertainment is such a non-reality to me. Like, none of this is real, I'm like sitting here, the lights and the cameras, and it's not real. It's getting out there to perform and meet the fans, and that kind of stuff to me is more real, and going back at home and hanging out in your pajamas and just being like a regular person, taking the dogs out. Paparazzi takes a shot of you picking up your dog feces. That's not normal either, but I've had that happen to me. That's why I brought it up. But I'm sorry, what was your question?
Just kind of getting used to suddenly you're in show business. You're in that environment.
Yeah, I've had to learn a lot. I grew up, as you know, from LA, grew up there in that town, and I thought because I lived in that environment, I knew a lot more than I did, and I've grown a lot. I had to learn that, geez, I don't know as much about Hollywood or the industry as I thought I did, just because I lived here. But it was a strange thing to suddenly have LA be my hometown, and suddenly you go to a coffee shop that you went to since you were a kid, and all of a sudden there's, you didn't realize it, but it's a paparazzi hangout too. So it was a lot of having to readjust my life, and for my family too, and yeah, I mean, I think my life is a little bit more normal now, because it's like coming off that show. There's always hype. I mean, look at Adam Lambert right now. He'll look back probably in 2 years and be like, wow, that was crazy. But I didn't even think, I didn't even think about that, Steven Spielberg. There was a lot of craziness, like, people thought I was singing at Tom and Katie's Scientology wedding. And I mean, there was a lot of crazy stuff. And, but you know what? Hollywood is very fickle place, and I think I had I did have that part of the reality of the entertainment business, that you can be hot one minute and hot not the next.
Now, but when the first album didn't go as maybe you had hoped it would go, was this
So I think that I sort of knew that it wasn't the right record that I wanted to make. It was actually, I remember sitting in Clive's office, and he was like, this is the best, everyone makes an impersonation of his voice, but this is the best reviewed Idol record of all time, like the reviews are mind-blowing. I just, it's unbelievable. And it's true, like the reviews, people loved it. But I think that the audience, the voters from Idol, who are the ones who essentially go out and buy the record, didn't connect the dots. And I didn't quite connect the dots. I didn't know exactly what I wanted to do. So I was just, being held by the hand of these people that I trusted, and was told to trust. And I don't look back and be like, oh darn, I wish that was what was meant to happen. You can say all these things. I mean, I've had an incredible career. I've been able to go and do movies, and I've sold records, and I'm able to make another record. I'm with another major label. So there's a lot of positive things to look at, and I'd much rather be with a label now that is a career label that's going to help you develop and change and be able to make new different types of music, and not at the demands of being driven by radio or being on the cover of sexy magazines. I'd much rather be authentic to myself than this big machine that